All right. We've got a few things to talk about today in terms of we've actually made a really nice plan for ourselves. Remember that far back? About an hour ago we made a plan.
We're not sticking to the plan.
Oh, we're not?
Where are my pieces of paper?
Oh, exactly. Like we fucking plan's out the window. The plan's gone.
That's all right. Let's go.
Let's go?
wing it.
You want me
Let's
to go?
wing it. Let's go.
The show must go on.
Like
The show must go on. Welcome to our episode 9. We're 9 now. We're 9.
scary number.
So is this a good number? Oh, you hate this number? No. I was wondering why you're fucking fidgeting.
I didn't even think about
I didn't even either. Until we mentioned it, number 9.
And I want to end this.
Number 9.
And I want to end this. I
wanna
just have
end
to
it?
persevere. Yeah, 9 is the end number.
It fucking might be. According to this episode so far, it's the shittest yet. It's even worse than number 1. So this episode, I was thinking of naming it "Blood from a Stone" because that's what
It's
we
very
feel like
rock
at
and
the
roll.
moment. It is. That's an album name, like
Yeah.
album cover.
Yeah.
The Blood from a Stone. Yeah, it's got a real like strong vibe.
Before we started, there's a few different quotes that we give ourselves to pep ourselves up.
Yep. What was the one you were thinking of?
I like the one that you had from Bill
Preston. Yeah. We don't explain jokes, so just keep up, okay?
So if you followed along for this long, you
If
would
you're still here,
if you're still here, congrats. We'll send you a bottle of wine or something.
will we? Can't
Chocolates.
afford that.
Chocolates, because I like to apologise.
Oh yeah.
So if you followed along for this long, you would know that I have what you call a speech impediment. And what my niece will say that I change words, it just happens so naturally. So anyway, it's not Bill Preston. It's
Stephen Pressfield.
Same.
Same. Yeah, it was a nice quote. So he was talking on another podcast about becoming who we really are and following our path or our creative journey. And when we can't follow our creative journey or follow our path, that energy can manifest itself in negative ways as, you know, some sort of energy, because that energy of creativeness has to go somewhere. So he was talking about if you've got nowhere for that outlet, the energy doesn't just dissipate. It transforms into something else and often negative, like addiction. He referred to it as a malignant channel, which is really interesting. Those who don't know who Stephen Pressfield is, he's an American author, but he's probably been on that creative journey and he's probably seen peers who have been creative and haven't had the ability to pursue their creativeness and self-destruct in some way, or have that, what he calls the malignant channel, and that energy goes into a malignant form.
This has just led me to think of something else that I've mentioned before to you, how sometimes seeing someone pursue a dream that you perhaps had fuels you. So rather than turning that into something malignant,
Yeah.
so rather than having that thought or feeling become a malignant channel, tumor,
Energy.
whatever you want to call it, or reacting angry. Sometimes we've discussed a reaction that we have felt from someone and we've discussed that and said, what was that? We're very fortunate to have each other to kind of bounce off, and we're generally very positive people. To have someone to say, I'm feeling a bit awkward about this. I had a discussion with this person and they kind of attacked me and I wondered why, and we're able to break it down. And through talking about it, that's why talk therapy is, I'm a fan. We're able to discover, okay, that's something that they haven't pursued in their life and that's a dream that they've had. And so it has become malignant.
It's a mirror, like you were saying, it's a mirror of what could have been. Yeah, it's a mirror. And often what Stephen Pressfield was talking about was that, I don't even know if it was Stephen Pressfield talking about it. It might have been Ed.
Ed Milet always seems to...
He's my mentor. He doesn't even know how closely we work together. He was talking about it today, that it's not the person's fault for feeling that way.
No.
They're not a bad person. They are just being reflected something, that wasn't pursued, and that it manifests in a negative way.
On people closest to you reflecting a negative energy, it is often your greatest fears
Reflected back to you.
And they're not a bad person. It is just that when you're on a path to your higher self and fulfilling your calling, let's
your
say,
artistic calling or whatever it is, your goal,
you will be presented with the person that you hold dearest to you will present the biggest fears, because when you've escalated and you're unstoppable and you've worked on yourself, it often happens when you've worked on yourself. It's easy to get rid of maybe peers or people in your life. And we've talked about having to be okay with letting certain people in your life go because you're at a different level.
Are you breaking up with me?
No, but I want to say something on that.
The breakup episode. Number 9, episode 9. Linda's Number
9. If we believe in things as good and evil, if we believe in things like angel and demons, your worst fear, and that being like the demon coming through the person that you care about the most, or whose opinion you care about the most, or the person closest to you. And that's why when you reach a higher level, tell me if you've felt this, you reach a higher level and then all of a sudden it'll come through someone that you hold dearest to you.
What will come through?
Self-doubt.
Okay.
Or they won't be on board, or seemingly you won't feel that they're on board with where your journey's at. They'll have a negative response to your higher self. They'll try and knock it down, that it's reflective. And it just makes it easier when you have people that you hold dear to you not having the same vision. It's easier to forgive them rather than fight against it. If you look back at yourself and say, what is this saying about myself?
Being introspective.
Why does that hit me?
Why does it?
Why does it bother me? Because if it was the mailman down the street, I wouldn't care.
And you've had that?
Yeah, of course. Family that you hold dearest, friends that you hold dearest.
Do you hold me dearly? Have I done that?
You haven't. Hang on, let me just think.
Maybe I'm not that dear to you.
No.
No, you wouldn't. You don't have to tell me. That's no.
You want to tell me when I've done that to you?
No, you haven't.
Oh, obviously I'm not that important to you.
This is the breakup episode.
I hold this journey with you very dearly, and I'm very careful to be, what's that word, retrospective? No, what's that word that you used before?
Introspective.
Fucking words.
They're so annoying words. God, why can't we just use the same word for everything? It'd be so much easier.
No, look, I hold our relationship, this journey, what we're doing very, very dearly. I've had so many experiences with businesses, artistic endeavors, projects. I'm very aware of the sometimes tumultuous roller coaster, but I'm able to step back. Of course, when you say something, I do hold it dearly. It does affect me. That's because I care. But I also have a history of a friendship with you. So I'm able to, do that whole lesson and what does that mean and why is it affecting me? And I'll process it internally and go, okay, how do we work through this? But I kind of made a promise to myself that I would talk to you.
Okay, good.
And I did that. And that's from years of experience. It's going nowhere. This is just a private conversation between you and I.
Talk amongst yourselves. We're just sorting some things out here.
Yeah.
I don't want to harp on about other people's podcasts.
Yeah, and I'm going to bring up someone else. I'm going to plug someone else that I admire.
The podcast that talks about other podcasts. The year our podcast dropped about other podcasts, but it talks about a Dalai Lama quote. Don't let people walk through your mind with dirty feet. Often who's walking through our own mind with dirty feet is ourselves, meaning don't let that negative thought linger. Don't let people through your mind or throw you off with their dirty feet. Perfect for our dirtiness episode. I mean, I'd let anyone walk barefoot in my head. Yeah, Linda wouldn't. But no.
I prefer you to walk barefoot in my house. I'd prefer you to take your shoes off.
But wear shoes in her head.
No.
No, but he talks about that. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, so what you were saying before with Stephen Pressfield, there is actually factual-based evidence. There's actually repercussions, real repercussions to us as if we are human beings.
Yeah.
By living our best lives, we cannot deprive ourselves of the gifts that are called within us. And we've talked about if we don't fulfill our gifts or our calling, it turns into
malignant energy.
Right.
Or it goes down a malignant channel.
So there's that. But it's also if we deprive ourselves of the best environment, so depriving ourselves of nature's goodness, of water, of grounding, earth, sunlight, we don't live to the best of our ability.
We don't flourish.
We don't flourish. But what they've actually found, they've done tests on lab rats. And if they've deprived them of a flourishing environment, they actually lose brain cells. So there's actually been scientific tests.
So there's physiological effects of your environment not being...
that we will actually kill ourselves.
Wow. Yeah, well, that makes sense. Well, that says a lot about the age we live in. And especially here in Victoria, youth crime and not having the best environments to flourish and energies that aren't, there's probably some of these kids aren't bad. They're not bad kids. They're not bad seeds. Their environment hasn't allowed them to flourish, or their gifts perhaps, their energy is being transformed into a negative or malignant channel. I mean, this is a big generalization, but it is worth considering. And I think that who knows how that all works, and being given the opportunities when you look at that whole youth crime, that's a massive issue in Victoria at the moment. It's probably everywhere, but especially here we hear it a lot, and you just do wonder those energies being channeled and how they're being channeled and what's happening, what is going on. And I mean, and again, that's a small part of it. There's more to it than that. That's simplifying it way too easily. But I think it may play a role, and I think energy is real. And
energy is real. We've talked about energy. We've talked about the energy within people. There was an interesting thing that I saw online on social media about how grounding was in the Bible.
Oh.
Yeah.
We talk about our love for the earth, and we talk about our love of grounding, and we talk about our love of nature. And I think it's probably a good time to acknowledge the traditional owners of our land, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and the respect that we give to the land. We hold this land as spiritual, as a being as well, even though it's not part of our culture, but it's part of our Australian culture. And we're so fortunate to be here, to have ended up here through our migrant journey. I love the ties to the land that the Aboriginal people have. I love that they hold the land sacred. I think everybody should hold the land sacred. It's so precious. It's life. And we talk about souls and things, but I think anything living, anything being has its own soul, has a breath, has a journey, has a life. It should be treated with respect as you would treat a person, like we would. I treat the land with that same respect, and I have the same respect for the custodians of the land, Wurundjeri people.
Yeah, same.
I think we both are very spiritual. We understand the significance of the land and the land that we're on. I think this is a good time to acknowledge that in our little podcast here.
Ancient wisdom has been coming up a lot, and we are connected to the land, and we are one with earth. We talk about
nature.
We talk about nature. We talk about...
You talk about cycles.
Talk about cycles. I'm not sure if I'll get into it today. Being one with the earth and following moon cycles, and we're cyclical beings, especially women. We have always had proof of that. It's more obvious in us how cyclical we are in nature. And if we look at seasons, if we look at anything, everything that we need to heal us is available to us in nature. Water, grounding, the importance of grounding, the importance of community, the importance of sunlight, things that are of this earth.
Once you take away some of the elements of what the earth gives us or what nature gives us, then we find deficiencies, especially with sunlight.
Exactly.
That's one example. Take away water and we can't
non-existent.
We can't exist as a human without water.
And I feel that throughout the years, modern times have alluded to the fact that we don't need those natural elements.
That modern medicine is better. You don't need sunlight. Here, take a vitamin D tablet.
Exactly. Well, there's history, and look, have you heard about the late 40s and how have you heard about the late 40s?
Late 40s of my age, late 40s in terms of the year.
Have you just heard of the late 40s?
How late were they?
So after the war, there was a shift in focus towards science, and I don't even want to say evidence-based, but scientifically based evidence on medicine, and how natural medicine was kind of debunked or put aside for modern man-made medicine.
Yeah.
Have you heard about that?
I haven't.
Winston Churchill is connected to it. I don't want to go into it.
But in relation to that.
This is like Lynn going...
Winston who?
No, it's like Lynn's going... No, you touched on that.
And you didn't go through it. You didn't explain it. It was a really interesting topic.
No, but it was interesting when I talked to Lynn about her parents' experience in the late 40s as opposed to my mum's experience in Italy in the late 40s. So the experience of Italy with food rations after the war, my mum always talks about clothing, that they'd get all their clothing from America and America would send them food parcels and you'd have to go and get food parcels. And that experience of the late 40s, and in the United States there was this industrial revolution happening where, you know, like things, I don't even say refrigerator. I don't even think my mum had a refrigerator in the day. They used to have a basement, and they used to put the prosciutto hanging up. And Lynn's family having refrigeration, I think. My mum had the radio, and that was like a big deal. And I don't know if it was going into the early 50s now, but it was late 40s definitely. And Lynn talking about her family having, at that point, having perhaps television, whereas Italy felt like for the villagers and for the, you know, for the probably not aristocrat or probably wealthy, like just the, you know, sort of medium to low socioeconomic families being really behind in the times, like being really behind with not only resources, and because of the war, they were put back, they were set back.
And we've talked about
time.
Because we've talked about prosperity after wars. I think that's where it came from. And we were countries flourish after war. And then you hit back with, well, hang on, actually, where your parents grew up and the south of Italy, they didn't have those experiences.
Well, the south where Dad grew up didn't. The war didn't hit as hard as where it did for Mum. Yes, so the south didn't get the war as hard. The mainland. So you're probably part of the mainland.
No.
Well, Calabria.
I'm from the south.
Yeah, but it's the mainland.
Oh, you're saying Sicily.
I'm saying Sicily. However, Sicily's got another history of takeovers and
corruption
and not only, no, I'm saying like in history, I'm saying even before Roman times, being taken over by so many different civilizations.
That's why their faces have a blend of all these facial structures.
Yeah.
From takeover.
Yeah, like Turkish and you know, all the different
the strong noses and the no, but that's what I'm saying. You don't. Yeah. But that's why there's also blonde-haired, blue-eyed. Then you've got the very dark olive skin. Then you've got the strong noses.
And when you look at Italy,
it's because of all of those
different cultures.
Yeah, that invaded.
Yeah. So the invasions.
Yeah, and that's why you've got those, like, sometimes you'll have dark olive skin with blue eyes and maybe blonde hair or dark hair. That's why Sicily has such an interesting blend of
people,
facial structures.
Yeah. So I don't think
facial features. Yeah.
That when I talked to Dad about the war, it was there. They knew about the war, but it wasn't as prominent. Whereas Mum she remembers walking through the snow and sirens going off and holding my grandmother's skirt and just walking behind her because Mum would have been like really little. And she remembers at night falling asleep and she could hear the horses of the Germans patrolling, and their home. So they were in a bunker, and their home, like the Germans took over, so they kicked them out, and the Germans took over residence, like the soldiers took over residence of the home, and basically would burn the window panes for fire.
What year was this?
Would have been early 40s, maybe 1940, 1942. But the human toll, and from the eyes, a direct line to my mum from her eyes and her recounts and her views of that situation was really interesting. I mean, she still remembers this stuff. This is shaping, and this is shaping that generation in Italy, and probably for a lot of people, my mum's generation was their grandparents' generation. For people my age, anyway. So because Mum had me later, I am a sort of like, so the next generation it's very close. It's still a generation away rather than two or so far removed. So the stories that I hear are really have really shaped the way, and I can understand the whole thing where Mum doesn't waste things and is very
absolutely,
like they had nothing. They when they went back to their home and they had no windows, they were all blown out. They were getting blankets and covering the windows, because it was cold. It was winter and they had no blankets, and they were burning stuff in the house so that they could get warm because it was freezing. I've spoken about it before, how I said my life hasn't been nearly as hard as Mum's life, or what she saw, and she came out of it eventually, but aside from other things that happened to her. But it's really mind-opening, and with the events going on around the world, for Mum it's triggering as well, because it's like she was a kid back then. So she was a child. She was at the mercy of what was happening, at the mercy of her parents' decisions, at the mercy of these people, these political decisions that are being made around, and that really shaping someone's life, and then really understanding war more than we would ever understand war, and our little cocoon, really.
I've spoken about, I have memories of things that happened that Mum will say never happened, but I spoke about how close I was with my grandfather, who was an artist and an artisan, and he was a prisoner of war. And I've spoken to you about having this memory of soldiers' footsteps outside and us running to get into the secret room. And even though my mum said that never happened, I question how that could be such a vivid memory for me. But I wonder if that ties into previous conversations we've had about souls, and are we connected, and are we the same soul, generational trauma, and how real is that, and how much your body, not only does your body hold on to trauma, but are those memories passed on?
Well, I was going to say that
like generational gifts are passed on, because I don't want to just focus on generational trauma, although we'll talk more about that, but I also want to talk about generational gifts, because I was saying I was so close to my grandfather, who was an artist, and I feel like somehow on this journey I'm also fulfilling his journey, and maybe the journey, I don't know where the lineage started with us being artists, but fulfilling our ancestors' dreams as well, but also the body pain that I feel. And it's genetics, and people say it's genetics, but where does it start, and how can we heal ourselves? And we've had knee problems and back problems, and I'll see it in my cousins and go, oh, so it's genetic. It's not just because I had that accident. It's actually, I was kind of doomed anyway.
You're predisposed to that anyway.
Where does the healing start? How far back do we go? I've talked about someone that we've both studied with who does some healing, and he's talked about healing pain in your body and it being generational pain. Until he had said that, I never thought of it that way. I always thought of generational trauma being kind of psychological, but didn't know that it could manifest in areas of our body. And our body speaks to us. Again, we're talking about ancestral wisdom and about nature, and our body and our earth are constantly talking to us.
Yeah. I had a thought in yoga about that energy and how that energy can transform perhaps through genetics as well. So the energy from your ancestors being passed down as well as genetics. So when you look at your soul and the energy of your soul, is that passing through genetics as well as spirituality? So are you a fragment of your ancestors, not only as DNA but as energy and as a soul? That could be something, but it might not be here nor there.
No, I think that's very interesting. I just thought of one of my cousin's comments on one of our YouTube episodes saying our family has always had that special connection to the other world. And although I know it, it was so nice to see it written down by a cousin that lives on the other side of the world.
Who has that same
understanding
bond.
Bond.
Because that's not genetic. That's not that substance.
That's not tangibly.
That's not a DNA thing. It's like your family line has a spiritual connection, but that spiritual connection's got nothing to do with your physical body. So how do you explain that? So that's probably, is that a fragment of a soul? Is that, are you, as well as DNA, does some of your soul transfer? Does some of your soul transfer into your physical being, or is it part of your mother or your mother's mother or all of them trickling?
And we talk about ancient wisdom. So going back to the ancient wisdom of the traditional owners of the land, do we also pass down wisdom in that sense, spiritually?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so do we sometimes, what if a gift? You know, someone being naturally gifted? What if that is something that's been harnessed before and worked on before? And so then it's in your
spirit
hand. Yeah, it's like it's molded. It's been worked on.
Yeah, it could be.
If we had children, they'd be great podcasters.
Yeah. Would they? Would they be great?
Well, I mean, we've done the hard work. We've done the hard work. We've hit the piñata.
Yeah. So Ed Milet talks about repetition. So he's saying not everyone's a natural at something. You just got to repeat, and repetition makes you master something. And a lot of athletes talk about repetition and going out and practicing and hitting a ball and kicking a ball and just over and over and over until you get into mastery. But there's also that part of achieving a goal that he spoke about, and he referred to it in a story about a piñata. And at a kids' party where, all these kids are hitting this piñata and they lose interest in it and walk away. Fatigued or bored. And then one kid comes along, gives it a whack, and all the candy comes out. You didn't see the work. You couldn't see that piñata weakening. You couldn't see the bonds of the material weakening until one person hit it. So, and we were saying today when I was coming to Linda, because I just heard Ed's podcast, I was coming to Linda. I was like, all right, let's hit this piñata. Let's give it a smash. Let's give it another whack. And I tell you what, today's been a hard whack.
It's been hard.
It's been this is where the magic happens.
But I wonder if
magic. I don't know
if that line of kids is representative of
generations. Yeah,
generations of hitting a piñata.
Maybe.
And then out comes this young kid that goes, that,
whack,
naturally gifted.
Yeah, but it's there. Yeah.
But it's been a line of ancestors before. Maybe they're all going, it was me.
I've been hitting that piñata for like 3 generations.
Not naturally gifted.
But
we've worked on that.
But that's the thing. That's what Ed says. He says that no one's naturally gifted. Everyone has to work at it.
Outliers.
There's people that are good, but you still need to work.
If you've read the book Outliers,
okay,
that's Oh, you haven't? I keep telling you to read the book
Yeah.
Outliers.
All right, I will.
You won't.
When in my spare time.
You don't have. No,
I don't have much. I don't have much.
I'll
but
just- yeah, it's basically this. Outliers, which you should read,
I will try.
is the story of success written by Malcolm Gladwell. There's a thing about a 10,000 hour rule.
Oh.
And
We've got a lot more podcasts to do.
the key to achieving world-class expertise in any skill is a matter of practicing it
Yeah.
again and again.
Which is what.
And
it
I
talks
think
about.
within the book, I read it a long time ago, there are experiments with naturally gifted kids and then the kids that will keep harnessing that talent through repetitive trials.
That willingness to master. And I've told a few of our friends about this, that innate ability. And it happened with one of our friends' kids who, as soon as I gave him some advice, I mean, he's like 9 or 10, I think. And as soon as I gave him some advice to improve on running or something like that, all of a sudden he's gone into the other room and he's practicing it.
Wow.
Like repetition. And I said to his parents, our friends, I said, you got to harness this. This kid is like, this is a natural ability, and there's that willingness to master, and that's something that talented kids may not have. I mean, he's talented, but I mean, even if you don't have natural talent, if you have a willingness and a love to master something, you'll go at it again and again and again and again until you get it right, and until it becomes mastery, until it becomes this innate ability to do something. And I think that can only come with repetition, and that's all it is.
I think to a certain extent, you need to be willing to let go of the ego, because I've seen some really naturally gifted kids being told that they have to work on something, and they've kind of shaken it off and gone, I'm not going to work on this because I'm naturally gifted. I've seen them miss out on opportunities.
Calvin Coolidge
Okay.
says, nothing in this world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than an unsuccessful man with talent. Yep. So I love that. That's one of my favorite quotes, because I always think nothing replaces hard work, and nothing will replace someone who's worked at something and someone who's talented that sits back. The person that doesn't have talent can reach someone with talent by hard work and repetition and mastery.
We've talked about the energy within people. You talked about having that telepathy with our mothers.
Yeah. And that brings me back to the point that we were saying, our souls or our energy being generational as well. And the gifts that are passed down from their generations, that's energy as well. And, you know, while we're all a collective of the source, if we believe that, or God or whatever, does that source have a legacy? Does it flow down into our our ancestors, I guess, and how it all flows?
Well, you know that rituals and practices, this is something, again, coming from ancient wisdom, it deepens a layer in our brain that is linked to intuition, creativity, and emotional regulation.
What does that?
Rituals and practices.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, and repetition. And we talked about repeating things over and over for mastery.
You know, and going back to the traditional owners of this land and many ancestral ancient cultures, the importance of the singing, praying, dancing.
There's a musical
beats.
theme. Yeah.
I'm quite intrigued by the importance of that. And you know, when someone passes the wailing, how you need to have that release in your body, that you need to let go of that tension by wailing, by screaming. And there's cultures where they'll wail after a loved one passes.
Or a loss.
Yeah. When I was told that my dad had passed, my first reaction was to run. I wanted to run. I wanted to kind of get out of my body, not feel that. And I feel that Western society seems to repress our feelings, and we need to behave in a certain way, and it's kind of seen as, if we start wailing, it's seen as uncouth.
Well, it's seen as out of control. But I think these days there's more understanding about that.
But what I'm saying is, like, there's all these natural inclinations to behave in a certain way. We repress those natural behaviors.
Reactions.
And then we turn to modern medicine. I'm not having a go at modern medicine. You know, I'm not having a go. But it just goes back to, there is a lot in ancient wisdom. There is a lot in what our ancestors, there is a lot in old wives' tales.
Yeah.
But there is some truth to it. There's something that we've kind of banished those thoughts as being woo-woo or not civilized. How arrogant of us to call it uncivilized.
Again, we talk about things that science isn't able to explain. Even though quantum physics explains it, it's still looked upon as woo-woo science.
Oh, yeah.
So quantum physics is like, oh yeah, that's not a real science.
That's why I love it.
Crazy. I think as we go forward, we will look and find more and more things that we already knew.
Well, this is what I'm saying. This is the stuff that excites me. When I'm watching podcasts, other people's podcasts.
Don't watch other people's podcasts, just ours.
No, but when I'm watching other podcasts or listening to an Audible book or reading something, I'll go, are you kidding me? I knew this. We needed a scientist to find factual evidence on this. We've been told this for generations. We know this. This is why I harp on about ancient wisdom, because we already knew. Our ancestors were telling us, and we've just erased it and thought of it as mystical fluff when astrology is real. No,
Yeah. It might be. Mate, at this point, I don't even know what's real anymore.
And look, we keep going back to energy is real. You can't see it, but you can definitely feel it. So you can't tell me that everyone has experienced thinking about someone and that person calling them and just call it a coincidence.
I agree. Telepathy. Is telepathy also part of your lineage that's passed down from your ancestors? Are you part of them? Not more so than part of the collective. So your family is part of the collective, but you're part of your family. And is that consciousness connected through energy? It could be.
Yeah. Is this a theory that you had in yoga?
This is my yoga theory.
Yeah.
It was a thought I had during Shavasana. That thought that you're having at that time isn't intellectual. It's difficult to explain with words. When you have, like you've had before when you were beaming, where you've just had this knowing that's not in words, but it's a feeling.
Definitely.
So it was like this, not make sense, but it was like, oh, is this how it works? Or is this the transcending of that energy from a generation? Is this, and when you've talked about the generational gifts and you've talked about our ancestors coming back and saying to us, pursue this gift, or shaking us or trying to steer us in a certain, or our guides or whoever, like trying to go, no, you need to continue the work that was there, you know, at the beginning. You need to continue that energy. Maybe you've only got 5,000 to go. Who knows? Maybe you're going to crack that piñata. But you need to, and pushing you to pursue that energy. And I think we had a moment when we were talking about our ancestors, and you were saying about your jewelry making and your family of artists. And it dawned on me that, and this was only recent, when I started to, I'm going to say loosely make music, because I don't know how to play an instrument, but on my mum's side of the family, there was a very, like, all of my mum's family were musicians.
And when you told me this, Ben,
you
I
freaked
was
out.
so excited. I was like,
You're
"This
this is it. This
Are
is
you
your
kidding
they're trying
me?
to get you to
This is your ancestors
talking.
talking to you. It's like shaking you and
Yeah.
going, music. It's music."
Yeah, maybe. But and there's some sort of, in different circumstances or in different realities, maybe it was pursued. Maybe I did pursue that. But there's always,
And you always meet your higher self.
maybe, yeah.
You always do. So don't have regrets.
Yeah, no, I don't have regrets.
No, not you. I'm just saying
Yeah,
to all of
in
our
general.
listeners,
Yeah.
don't think
Because-
could have been, would have been, should have been.
Could be now. But not
Absolutely.
even in the way you think. Maybe this is a way for me, like through mixing beats and mixing songs and mixing loops, maybe that's a way for me to explore my musical inclinations
And calling.
that my ancestors may have left for me, maybe pushing me to do. Don't know. But yeah.
So neuroscience, it goes back to Stephen Pressfield's quote. It keeps coming up just because it is so relevant.
Well, maybe that's our theme today, is that quote, and we started with it and everything's sort of surrounding it.
Yeah, because neuroscience shows that having purpose and connection actually improves our mental health and longevity. So it's important
To have
to
connection to the land.
and have purpose. And I guess that's what our whole podcast is about.
Yeah.
Is about existence, life, purpose.
Yeah. And our journey trying to find what our purpose is. What is our gift that we want to give? What is our gift that we want to tap into?
I hope that this has ignited a fire and passion with our listeners.
I hope so. I hope
I
someone
hope
can take
it's
something away from it.
Yeah, I hope this has resonated with someone. I hope someone has said, yeah, I have this gift that's bubbling inside of me. You have a right and obligation to fulfill that fire within you.
Yeah.
You just keep hitting that piñata.
Keep kicking the ball. Keep throwing the universe a ball, and tell the universe to keep throwing it back to you. This is the quote episode. I used to have dreams, and I don't know if you've had these dreams. Let's get into my dreams again. This is fun. Let's go to Turkey.
Let's talk about
Let's
dreams.
talk about cats in Turkey. Let's talk about what they do in Istanbul. The cats of Istanbul.
Is that the title?
The cats of Istanbul. No, because no one will click.
No.
I know how this episode's going to go. Episode 9. You were
Told
going to
you
talk
it's
about it?
The death.
The death
It's
episode?
the death episode.